Hi, my name is Andrew Kinnear. I'm the founder of Freebruary. Thanks for joining us for this limited interview series with entrepreneurs from across Canada. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Alessandra Amato, co-founder of ALGI, the makers of the Impact Bar.
Amazing. Thank you for joining me on this interview series. I'm excited to learn a bit more about ALGI, the company, and the Impact Bar specifically. And it's great to have you here. So why don't we start with where are you?
I'm in Montreal right now, but our company is actually based out of Canmore, Alberta.
Canmore, Alberta. Okay. I had no idea that we were spanning the country with this interview. That's amazing. Tell me about the company first, and then we'll get to the Impact Bar. ALGI, how did it start? Who's your co-founder? Tell us everything.
Yeah, so my co-founder, Devon, and I founded ALGI the summer of 2019. We took part in an innovation program, and really we met during the program and really bonded over our shared passion for food and sustainability. And we were just trying to find a problem close to home for both of us that we could try to work on solving over the summer, with no intention of it really expanding beyond that. So we were just sort of doing some research online, and came across a CNN article talking about how algae is the future of food. I think my first reaction to that was, that's disgusting. Why would anyone want algae? But as we kept reading about it, we really discovered that it's got an incredible nutrition profile. It's got a lot of the nutrients that we typically think of as getting from animal sources. And it's really, really sustainable to grow. It's incredible how efficient it is and quick it is at growing. And so we, more for personal interest than anything else, started trying to find products that we could buy that contained algae, because we didn't necessarily want to eat the algae on its own, and couldn't find anything available on the market. And that was that light bulb moment for us of, hey, maybe this is something that we should try and get started with. And that's really where it all developed from. And we just got such good traction and interest from people in that even first summer that we kind of slowly kept working on it. Kind of, is this something that we really think we can do? And we've just continued to get a lot of interest and traction along the way. So we're still here and committed to it full time now.
So you touched on a few things there that prompt me to ask some questions. So first, thank you for explaining the algae and where it came from. I've heard of algae as a trend in food for a while. So that's great that there is actually a Canadian company doing something with algae. You're the first I've heard of.
We are the first in Canada. Yes.
That's amazing. So that's fantastic. I want to dive into the algae itself in a second, but I also want to ask you that when you're with your co-founder and you're just sort of getting rolling and you're searching for ideas, what was that first conversation like where you're chatting about future of food, algae comes up? Like, was it, oh, but algae is gross, like algae like the green scum that we see on ponds? Like, how did you get from that to, but it's actually full of stuff? Like, did you have to go into research to figure that out, or had you already kind of learned that it was full of great stuff, it just looked sort of gross?
Well, when we started, we weren't necessarily trying to stick to the food industry. I think our bigger thing was sustainability. But for both of us personally, the way that we are trying to make a positive impact on a personal level is through food. Devon is vegan. I am anemic and allergic to soy, so can't be fully vegan, unfortunately, but I do follow a pretty strict plant-based diet pretty regularly. So that was for us kind of our approach to sustainability. And so it really was just like, what are some alternatives out there? What can we do? What can we kind of try out? And it really was just a lot of searching of alternative proteins and things like that, just to see if there's anything new or anything that's just kind of getting started in the industry. And it was really this CNN article that sort of touched on, yes, it is what you typically think of as pond scum, but here's all of these. It's really nutrient rich, and it kind of listed a few things. So it's really high in iron, protein, a lot of great things, and it's really sustainable to grow. And it kind of gave a little overview on that. And so then what we did is, again, after that initial reaction of what, why would anyone want to do that? We started doing a lot more research. Everything from food industry reports, peer-reviewed research papers on the nutrition facts of it, just kind of people who had companies, some companies in the US who had sort of already started doing products with algae, just to see like what people were doing and like why they were even working with it in the first place.
That's incredible. And the fact that you guys took it those next few steps, because there's a few more steps in there. There's having the idea, then there's figuring out the strategy, then there's executing, to get things like the raw ingredients. And then you went even further and took those ingredients, because you could have stopped there. You could have said, we're going to sell, the raw proteins and we're going to sell algae to others. That could have been your business.
Yeah.
But you went even one step further, which is we're going to turn this into a thing that everyone can eat and love. And that's going to be our business. So tell me about those kind of mental milestones.
Well, so when we first came across this article and we first looked to see what was out there, we came across like tablets and pills and like the powder itself. And there's literally companies that on the powder package say like, put in your morning smoothie. And that's kind of like the extent of what people are doing with it. Like they don't know what else to do with this powder. And they're just lumping it in with all these other supplements, which is great. It is a great supplement, but what we are thinking of it as is not just a supplement, but as like the future of food, and not just as, again, a supplement to kind of boost your energy levels during the day, but to actually, it has this incredible nutrition profile. So to really use it as an alternative to food and to other food sources, which I think is something that no one else in Canada had really looked at. And we really wanted to kind of highlight algae and how incredible it is. It's the basis of all life form on Earth, and we can use that to support us and support the future of food. I
want to touch on that because you just said on Earth. This strikes me as a food that could potentially go beyond Earth. Like,
yes,
algae is something you can grow in like it's anaerobic, or it's the one where you don't need air, right? You can grow
so it uses, so this is where this is sort of some of the sustainability comes into it, is it grows in water.
Yes.
But it uses carbon dioxide to grow. So it does the photosynthesis like how a plant does. So but it's a lot more efficient and uses a lot more carbon dioxide than plants do. So that's where that whole sustainability part of that whole, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's part of the whole sustainability, is it's sucking out all these greenhouse gases that we're emitting to grow.
And not just greenhouse gas. Well, I mean, greenhouse gases because it's carbon dioxide, but like I'm picturing if you're, think of every sci-fi movie you've ever watched. If you're on the space station, they have tanks, they're growing algae, and it's because it's eating the thing that the people are making, and it's, breathing out the thing that people need, and it's food.
Exactly.
So it seems like very futuristic. I hope you guys have like silver jumpsuits and stuff for when for your next interview. You have to have a silver jumpsuit because this is the future. It sounds amazing. Okay, now take me to the impact bar. And starting a bar business is, there are a lot of bars on the market. Tell me about that.
So I guess this also comes back to that first summer. We kind of thought, are we crazy for creating food products with algae? And the way around that for us was like, we went into our kitchens and we just made anything we could think of. So we made ramen noodles, hummus, nachos, cookies, bread, like anything we could think of with algae. And we went to a farmer's market and we just started handing it out to people. And like, keep in mind, this food is like dark green, like it is dark green food. So people are seeing this and they're like, what are you feeding me? And we'd explain to them what it was, explain to them what the spirulina is and like why it's so great. And like, yes, we know it's green, but just try it. We promise it doesn't taste bad. And people absolutely loved it. And so then we were like, okay, so this idea of algae-based foods is not that crazy. So check, like we know we can do that. What the next step is, like what product? And for us, like we were still students at the time. And we were like, well, we're starving students. Ramen noodles are really cheap, but there's no nutritional value. If we ramen noodles have nutritional value, like that seems like a win-win. So we made them and we could make them successfully to eat right away, but even leaving them out for like an hour was a complete mess. So we were just like, okay.
You mean the noodles themselves? Like you can make noodles from scratch with this ingredient, but it didn't have the shelf life it needed, et cetera. Is that what you mean?
It did. Yeah. Like we could eat it right away. And it honestly tasted really good. Like we were surprised with like how good it tasted, but we couldn't even like bring it over to someone else because the moisture level and everything. Like we really didn't have that nailed down, and we couldn't bring it. So when we went back to the farmers markets with kind of other product ideas, we asked people, what about ramen noodles? Like that's what we're thinking of. And the main message was like, that sounds great, but like, I already don't really know what this food and this ingredient is. I don't want to commit to like an entire meal of algae when I don't really get it and I don't really know what it is. And so we kept asking like people what they wanted to see. And the answer was bars every time. And we fought so hard against bars because we know that it's such a big market. And we're like, no, we're not going to do bars. We're not going to do bars. And that is what people wanted. So here we are selling bars.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah. And it is the ideal sort of first product. It's a low commitment product. So it's easy for you to just grab it, try it. I think there's a lot of fear of like the taste, especially. And, you try the bars and you're like, oh, wait, this actually tastes really, really good. Like, and everyone's sort of pleasantly surprised. Like, they're like, wait, this is really delicious. So we're kind of using this bar as sort of an education piece to teach consumers, get them familiar with algae before we start expanding our product line to these more impactful products that will actually help to displace some of the unsustainable food that we are trying to help. Because ultimately we want to be able to create food products that consumers can seamlessly integrate into their lives. That I guess sustainable food products that consumers can seamlessly integrate into their lives. And the bar seems to be the first step in doing that.
That's outstanding. Yeah, that's really great. Tell me, so you've answered so many of my questions already, which are standard, like, what are you doing that no one else is doing? Like, we're already in space. That's amazing. Yeah. But tell me a bit about your co-founder's kind of personal journey in this. What do you wish somebody had told you before you started a bar company, as far as like wisdom that you could then pass on to some other entrepreneur that is thinking about starting maybe a food business?
Yeah. So Devon is vegan, and he had been vegan for a few months when we had started. And so for him, he was just really unsatisfied. He felt like he was having to like there was nothing that was tasted good, had a good nutrition profile, and also had like ingredients he actually understood. And that's one of the things we really focused on, is kind of hitting all three of those boxes, because we didn't want to have to be making those sacrifices. So the bar itself is actually it's only made with one flavor is made with 6 ingredients. One flavor is made with 7 ingredients. You know what all those ingredients are. So you can look at the like ingredient list and know exactly what you're getting, versus, a Cliff Bar, for example, and there's like a paragraph of like chemicals and you're like, I don't know what this is. So that was his kind of focus. And my focus was, as I said, so I was anemic and I was allergic to soy. And so I was really struggling with just finding something that was available on the market that I could actually eat, because especially at that time, everything was soy-based. And I couldn't really find anything that didn't have soy in it. And so I was kind of, because I couldn't have these sort of meat alternatives, I was just cutting meat out of my diet. But then my iron levels would get so low that I had to eat meat again. And then I'd be like, okay, I feel great now. And I'd cut it out. And it was just this vicious cycle. Yeah. And so for me, the whole reason that I was really interested in the spirulina is it's 70% complete protein by weight. So it has all the essential amino acids, and 1 teaspoon gives you 8% of your daily iron. So you're really just getting like this great nutrition, like kick, like amongst many other things, but those were the 2 that stood out for me. And so that was really that why for both of us, we were like, oh, this is such a unique ingredient, and seeing it really just used as a supplement was like, there's so much more potential for food and just for a space and everything. So that was our kind of journey into it. Neither of us had any food experience. Devon was finishing up his undergrad. I was starting my master's when we started ALGI. So we were kind of in school at the same time, trying to do it all. And I think looking back, don't go into the food industry. I don't know. It's a very, right. I will say now that we're part of it and we have a lot of, networks and everything, it's a really great industry, but just especially the bar industry, it's such a competitive market. So I think one thing we've done really well is just really talking to our customers a lot every step of the way, and just really being able to understand their needs. So I would say that's probably like the best thing that we did, was just from day one, we were always talking to our customers. So that would be my advice to someone else starting a business.
Well, let's talk about those customers. So this Impact Bar, which is the name of your first product, your bar,
Yeah.
where is the best place for people to find this bar?
So I would say through our website right now,
Okay.
which is algifoods.com, algifoods.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we are in stores in Alberta right now. So in Calgary and Canmore, we're in a variety of locations and looking this summer to expand across the rest of Alberta and BC.
Okay.
But as a fail-safe way, definitely through our website.
Awesome. I'll make sure I put the website on the video as well. Do you have a national distributor taking this product across the country yet, or just regional, or are you guys doing direct to store? What's your approach?
We're sort of in the midst of figuring all of that out right now,
Okay.
actually. So we're looking at getting a national distributor right now.
You're not alone. Don't worry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are right there with you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And why do I think that spirulina was blue? Is there a version that's blue?
So there's the pigments in it. You can extract the blue pigments out of it. So it is a blue-green algae.
Okay.
So it has both blue and green pigments. So you can get the blue from it.
That's neat. Okay. So in the food industry, people are using spirulina just to color things.
Yeah.
I think is my understanding, but the fact that it's a blue-green algae and the food itself has, or the ingredient itself has those properties is outstanding.
Yeah, they're very vibrant colors. So
do you have any hopes to get out of the bar industry and start your own algae farm? Like just get some big tanks and the silver jumpsuits that we talked about earlier?
Definitely the silver jumpsuits. I don't know for the farm. We've been approached by a few different people and organizations hoping to set up algae farms, and just in a very cool system. So actually capturing the greenhouse emissions from sort of oil and gas facilities, I guess, like, I don't know what to call them, but and capturing that. And so with kind of all of these sustainability initiatives that are being set out across Canada, they're trying to figure out how do we do it. And they realize like they can grow a lot of algae, but now they're trying to find a use for the algae.
Yes.
They're going to be producing a lot of it and they don't know what to do with it. And so they've approached us to kind of say like, see what we would need in terms of kind of quality control and everything to be able to do that. So it could be a very like closed loop system of actually taking these emissions and using it to produce algae.
Yeah. I mean, if they just grow the algae and then dump it, then you don't get the carbon capture. There's no carbon capture, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know, like initially it was something that we were kind of, one day we'll have our own facility, but if we're able to sort of partner with these organizations and really up that sustainability level that we're able to, like that impact that we're able to have, I think we'd much rather do that than.
That's amazing. Yeah, that sounds super cool. And what's next in 2022?
Just boots on the ground, getting the product out there. We have a few partnerships that we're working out the kinks with right now to really be able to kind of, again, get the bar out there, get people sampling it. We're actually sponsoring a lot of endurance athlete events or endurance athletics events. So races, triathlons, trail rides, all that kind of fun stuff. So we're looking at a really fun summer of just event hopping and stopping at stores along the way and gyms.
That sounds awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. And because we didn't touch on this when we were talking about the ingredients, the Impact Bar comes in how many flavors? Is there one flavor, two?
We have two flavors right now, with the third coming.
Okay. And
we have two right now.
Your favorite one, describe what it tastes like, just so that we don't leave the viewer of this video thinking, oh, it tastes like a pond, or, describe the flavors. Is it chocolate? Is it cinnamon? Is there apple? Does it taste like seaweed?
Yeah, it does not taste like a pond or seaweed. So this is my favorite personally. It's the cocoa and cacao nib. The way I sort of describe it is it's like a rich chocolate brownie almost.
Okay.
So it's not that you don't get like sort of the sweetness and the sugariness that you would typically get from a chocolate bar. It's really a rich, it's not too bitter, but it's like a rich, darker chocolate type flavor profile. And then there's little cacao nibs in it to add a nice crunch to the bar as well.
Awesome. Well, we'll leave it there. I hope you have a great short week in Montreal and then eventually back to Alberta. And I look forward to seeing the success of the Impact Bar and Algae Foods
Thank you
this
so much.
year.
Yeah. Thank you so much.